Welcome to the Flight Club Podcast, a woman's guide to leaning out. We give you a behind-the-scenes look at business launch and growth through the stories of successful female entrepreneurs. Here's your host, Felina Hansen, founder and CEO of Hera Hub.
Hello and welcome. I'm excited to share my conversation today with Hera Savoca. She is a mental skills coach who guides high-performing athletes to heal mindset blocks and excel during and beyond their sport. Hera is a master coach and trainer of neuro-linguistic programming. She specializes in connecting with the subconscious mind to create real change. She believes that it is not necessarily what's going on the court, track, or field that determines an athlete's success. It's really what's going on between their ears and what's going on in their mind. So welcome to the show today, Hera.
Awesome. Thank you, Felina, for having me. I'm definitely excited for this conversation.
Yeah, I'm excited to learn more about you. I know we do share one thing in common, which is Santa Cruz. You were born and raised in Santa Cruz, and I have family in Santa Cruz, both in Santa Cruz and Scotts Valley.
Oh, cool. Awesome. Yeah, I was grew up in Santa Cruz, and we were actually on the opposite side over in Aptos area, Capitola, but I loved always going to the west side of Santa Cruz also. That's awesome.
It's such a beautiful area. It's really, really, I love going up there.
I mean, you have the beach, and then you have the mountains, the forest. Like, what more can you ask for?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, let's dive in. I know you are an athlete, and obviously that's part of, what you do now is helping other athletes. Take us back. What did you compete in high school and college?
Yeah, so I played really all sports growing up. As soon as I got to high school, I really had to narrow it down because that was right when things were getting more serious. I kind of always had this inner inkling that I wanted to play college sport. For a while, I thought it was going to be softball. But then when I found my passion for volleyball in, middle school, I joined my very first club team not until I was 14 years old, which is not necessarily, early, or I guess not necessarily late either, but joined my first club team and quickly realized this is the sport that I want to keep playing. This is what I really want to pursue. So since then I played volleyball, I played beach volleyball, and that's really been my main sport since high school.
Awesome. And you went to University of Portland and played volleyball there.
Yep. Yeah, it was kind of funny because I actually didn't, growing up in Santa Cruz, people always ask, do you surf? Do you play beach volleyball all the time? And I'm like, no, not necessarily. And then I went to Portland, and of course, Portland, everyone knows Portland is rainy and kind of cloudy, which it is at least, 9 months of the year. And when I got there, it was also kind of during the time that beach volleyball was becoming popular in college sport. And so my college coach, I think this was my sophomore year, he was like, guess what? We're going to be starting a beach volleyball program, which means that everyone who's on the indoor team is also now going to be a beach player. And I was like, okay, like, sure, and so it was just kind of funny because, most people imagine, when you say beach volleyball, like Manhattan Beach or, and just like, in your bathing suit or shorts and the sunshine. And I was out over in Oregon with leggings and socks and a jacket and a beanie if it was raining. And this sand that was really kind of dirt in the middle of Portland, which was funny, but it was quite the experience. And definitely a good time.
Awesome. Okay, so you majored in finance and you had your first part of your career was in finance. Talk about that decision.
Yeah. So, I think that was, when I was growing up and when I was in college, I kind of, followed more so what I felt like society should tell me to do and, what my parents advised me. And I really just like stuck with what I was good at. And school was never something that came really easy for me. I'm dyslexic, and so just that sort of learning environment had always been really challenging for me. However, I was really, really good at math. Um, and so I was like, okay, well, I guess I'll go into finance. And I thought, you know what, like working in a corporate job, like that sounds fancy. I get to dress up, work in a corporate building, like that sounds like something it would be fun. So I ended up really majoring in finance. And then my junior year going into senior year, I got a internship with Wells Fargo. And I worked in commercial banking, their internship program, and I honestly really enjoyed it. I thought it was super fascinating, really meeting with all of these CEOs, CFOs, controllers, and learning about really what it takes to have a financially healthy company, and also what it looked like to, utilize a bank's resources, whether it was, a loan, a line of credit, more of that asset management side of things. So yeah, after my junior year internship, I was given an offer and I basically accepted that offer. And then as soon as I graduated from college, I started with them, I think like a month later, and proceeded to work with the same team that I interned with.
Right. Okay. And you stayed in Portland?
Yeah, I did. I stayed in Portland for 2 years, and then I ended up moving up to Seattle for a year.
Okay. Awesome. Great. And so you're a few years into this career. Did it hold up to your expectations?
Well, as you can imagine, not so much. And I think that really honestly came with like self-discovery and kind of back what I was saying just a moment ago about really living in, societal norms and standards of go to school, get a good job, work 40, 50 years and then retire, however long. And that's kind of what I was doing. And that's what I thought was, quote unquote, successful. And I honestly felt pretty successful. I was like making more money than almost all of my friends. I was talking to these big companies. But there was just a part of me that was like, I'm not meant to be sitting in an office in a cubicle and doing what I'm doing for the rest of my life. I remember someone once told me, the best years of your life are in college. And that always really irked me. I was like, no, like, I mean, yeah, if you make them that, but like, no, I want the best years of my life to always be ahead of me.
Yeah.
And I would say actually it was kind of, my senior year of college. I actually met my very first mentor, and she really took me under her wing and just kind of coached and mentored me on what it looked like to own a business and the whole world of entrepreneurship. And she really introduced me to, who my inner child was. And so as I graduated college and I was working in corporate, I actually kind of was also on the side working with her on some business projects. And what that really led me to was a lot of self-discovery and a lot of figuring out where am I living again in those societal norms and standards versus where am I actually living in my values. And to me, when I say values, it's things that like really light me up, really fulfill me, and really excited me. And so as I was in corporate and I was just really becoming more self-aware in a way, and almost doing like a life audit of where I was living in my values and where I wasn't. I slowly started to stop doing things that didn't light me up, that didn't fill my cup, starting with even, the people I hung around. And, if I was going to the gym, is that something that really lit me up? Or was it the yoga class that really lit me up? And I just started to kind of move my time and attention around what I was doing. And as I continued to intentionally live more and more in my values, and really understand and realize that that corporate life just wasn't going to fulfill me, in being able to do that, coaching honestly just kind of fell into my lap. So it was kind of this really beautiful thing of like really understanding what my authenticity, what my purpose was, and then that thing just kind of falling in my lap at the same time.
And how exactly did that fall in your lap?
Honestly, it sounds silly, but I'm pretty sure I just came across like a coach on Instagram and I was like, I don't even know what she does, but this is it. And I had that same mentor who originally took me under her wing. And I'd been working with her for about 3 years at that point, and the projects that we were working on just weren't really in alignment with me anymore either. So I really decided to hire my first life and business coach. And the first coach that I worked with was actually like, I was like, I don't know if this is really it,
Mhm.
She kind of was more of a consultant. I think coach is a tough word to use because really anyone can call themselves a coach. So you really have to get curious on what people mean when they do call themselves a coach. But she kind of just told me, how to build the business, but I got to the end of her program and I still felt really stuck.
Mm.
And so then I went on and, I think through Instagram again, found another life coach and business coach, and she really changed the game for me. She helped me get clear and understand, what really is coaching. She was certified in ICF. She was also certified in NLP. And just through her program, I made so many shifts and made so many big decisions within my life and what I wanted my business to look like. And actually ended up quitting my job during my time working with her. So yeah, I guess Instagram, long story short, Instagram was how I found my first couple of coaches.
That's awesome. I love it. For folks that don't know, because you're also a trainer in neuro-linguistic programming, tell our listeners what that is.
Yeah, totally. So NLP is essentially the study of the brain. I like to say that it's a fancy way of saying the psychology of linguistics.
Mm-hmm.
So to break it down, neuro is going to be your neurology. So when you think your neurology, that's really going to be your neural pathways. And your neural pathways are made up of your thought and belief patterns. And then linguistics is going to be communication. So not only how you communicate to others, but also how people communicate to you, how you communicate to yourself, and even nonverbal communication. I think that it's something crazy, like only 7% of our communication is actually verbal. So you have to think about, posture, gesture, really body language, your voice tone, and all of that good stuff. And then programming is really going to be those imprint years. So from 0 to 7 years old is when your subconscious mind is created. And what most people don't know is that 95% of the results you create and the decisions you make are made from a subconscious standpoint.
Mm.
And in order to make real change, you have to do it on a subconscious level. Yet when most people try and make change, they do it on a conscious level, which just leaves them feeling stuck and really running those same programs over and over and over again. So what I'm really trained in is how to communicate to the subconscious in order to really create that real change.
So interesting. I have lots of colleagues who talk about NLP, so it's really helpful. I've never really had a chance to dive into it myself, so it sounds like powerful work for sure.
Definitely. Yeah, definitely.
And how do you use that? Let's get into your business. So you hire your coach and she takes you on this journey and you decide that corporate America, Wells Fargo is not for you.
Yeah.
Talk a bit about that path and that decision, and then let's get into, of course, how you work with your clients, how you bring in NLP and some of the other tools you use. But before we do that, talk about that decision. And did you have this conversation with, friends and family, and what did they say about the choice?
Yeah, it was definitely really tough. I mean, I think like from the get-go, it was definitely like a conversation of like a lot of my friends were like, that sounds super awesome and super exciting and like totally right up your alley. And then with my family, like they of course want me to have that security and have those benefits and all of that. And so it was something that I really had to just lean into what I knew was going to be best for me. I was someone who kind of had this, just like this, I guess I'd say an inkling again to just quit my job before I really had even signed any clients or anything. I had gotten my coaching certificate at that point, and then also was starting on all of my NLP training at that point. And it's not something that I recommend for everyone, but it was just what I felt like I needed to do. So it was a big shift, and it took really, uncovering what are the thought and belief patterns that I have that are keeping me from achieving these goals, and also just being really like in surrender of the how. I think like what I coach and train my clients on to this day is you're not always going to know the how of how something is going to work out, but if you get really really clear on the what, and you get really really clear on that feeling that you want to have when you get it, and you get really, really clear on why you want to have it, then it's going to come to you. It's really just a matter of time. So, once I ended up quitting my job, I think I signed my like first 3 clients, in those first 3 months. And then, just basically continued to grow and evolve my practice from there.
Awesome. Okay, so let's dive into it. Who do you work with and how do you work with them?
Yeah, so I should have said this earlier, but when I actually first started my coaching practice, I was working with entrepreneurs, naturally, because I loved how entrepreneurs thought. I loved the growth mindedness. I love that go-getter mentality. I was working with entrepreneurs hands-on in the corporate world with, again, CEOs of like $5 to $50 million companies. And so that was just kind of the world I was in. When I graduated college, I was so done with volleyball. Like my senior year, I was like, this is a job at this point, and I just want to be done with it. Yeah. And so I started working with entrepreneurs, and then as I was going through my NLP training, there was this part of me that I was like, you know what? There's a part of my story that I haven't been owning, and I don't know why I can't figure out what that part is. And then I had this huge breakthrough during my training. And I was like, oh my gosh, the part of my story that I haven't been owning has been my whole life of being an athlete.
Mhm.
And then I just kind of knew. I was like, you know what? Like, as much as I love coaching, business owners and entrepreneurs, and as fulfilling as it's been and as much results as I've seen my clients have, I've also all like said, in the future, like I'd love to coach some athletes. And I was like, why am I like saying like sometime in the future? And like, I'm like pushing my hand motion is like, in the future, like pushing it away, sliding in front of myself. And I'm like, I'm just going to do that now. Like, this is my sign that I'm supposed to do this now. Like, if I want to do it, I'm going to do it. And so I made that transition to working with athletes. And I was like, that's a niche in and of itself. Like, I work with athletes. And then I found out really quick that even in the athlete world, there's so many different niches to dive into. Whether that is, the youth, whether it's, collegiate, whether it's professional, what are the athletes struggling with that I want to work with? So over time, I really realized that the athletes that I'm most passionate about working with are the ones who really want to pursue that next level. So a lot of my clients right now are high school collegiate athletes who want to either play in college or play professionally. So very goal oriented in that sense. And then a lot of them come to me with struggles of really, maybe that's stress and pressures from sport, whether that's self pressures, whether that is pressures from coaches, from their parents. A lot of them also are like, you know what, like I have this goal. However, I'm also not sure if it's something that is like totally what I want, or if
Mhm.
it's something that, my word's not theirs, but that's not necessarily like in alignment with their values. It's like more so what their parents have told them to do. They're like, I just don't know if I want to actually do this, if this is something I should pursue, or if I should, just pursue another career. And so those are things that I work with them on. Lack of confidence is a very common one. And then a lot of self-talk. I think, like you said in my intro, I'm a huge believer that, you can be the most athletic, most fit athlete out there on the court, track field, whatever, tennis court. But if what's going on in your brain isn't working and isn't serving the mindset that you need to have to win that match, win that set, whatever it is, then you're not going to win. Both of them have to be working hand in hand together for that to that all to work out and to really materialize whatever goal it is you have. So I really utilize getting into the modalities that I utilize. I utilize a lot of question asking modalities to really help my clients create that self-awareness of what's going on when things aren't going my way in my mind, and what's going on when things are going my way in my mind.
Mhm.
And when they can create that self-awareness, it also helps them make those shifts. I'm a huge believer that all of my clients have the answers already within them. So as their coach, I'm not here to tell them, hey, this is what you need to do, and this is what you're going to do, and that's what you're going to do. I'm here to really ask them the right questions to lead them to help uncover those answers. And if I have some expertise on, a way or a tool that they can implement, or something that I've seen as a pattern of other athletes that I've worked with, then I'll, ask them if it's something that they're open to hearing. But that's kind of, how I approach my business, who I'm really working with as well.
Awesome. I love it. And do you work with folks both in person and virtually, or how do you work?
Yeah, I'm mostly virtual right now, which has been awesome because I've had clients that are all the way in Europe. And then I'm available for in person. I've done a little bit of in person stuff, but definitely mostly virtual.
Awesome. That's great. I love it. And what are some of the things, Sarah, that you're most excited about in your business? Maybe some things that you're working on.
Yeah, I'm working towards getting a group program together sometime in the future. Maybe not even until, next year. I'm not exactly sure about all of that specifically, but I'm excited to work in bigger arenas and eventually go do some speaking events in front of, at some point, hopefully, hundreds of people would be awesome.
I can see that for sure. Love it. I love it. And what would your talk be on?
Oh gosh, I don't know exactly right now, but definitely something mindset, mentality related. And just, yeah, really the power of the mind. I think, all of the tools that I have in NLP, like every time I'm, going through my training books, every time I'm learning more about it, I'm just like, more people need to know this. Like this stuff should be taught in school, like how to build rapport with people, like just how to better understand yourself. And I just think that like your inner world is a direct representation of your outer world. And so something along those lines, I don't know exactly what, but yeah, it would be somewhere along those lines.
Love it. That's awesome. Well, Sarah, if our listeners want to learn more about you, perhaps reach out, what's the best place for them to do that?
Yeah, so my Instagram is Coach Sarah Savoca. Sarah's with an H. Savoca is Savoca. And then there's also my website, which is thesavocaco.com.
Fantastic. Awesome. Well, thank you for sharing your story with us.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me on, Felina. It's definitely a pleasure. And I love everything that you're doing with Hera Hub and just really admire being able to chat with you today.
Thank you for joining this week's episode of Flight Club, sponsored by Hera Hub. We look forward to sharing more success stories with you soon.